Hi everyone, this is Katie McQueen, registered dietitian with the Center for Cardiac Fitness, and today we're going to be talking about how to have a healthy holiday season. First of all, you want to ditch the diet mentality. During the holiday season, a good goal is really to maintain your present weight. That's going to be the most realistic. It's going to be really, really challenging and a very uphill battle to think that you're going to lose weight between Thanksgiving and then the holiday season in December and New Year's. There's just so much going on socially that involves food, gift giving that involves food, the stress of the holidays, the time commitment of the holidays. So in order to just keep a positive mindset and avoid disappointment, a realistic goal is just to maintain your weight during that time. Typically, Americans gain 1 pound every holiday season. And although 1 pound doesn't sound like a lot, if that 1 pound isn't lost, then that 1 pound is 10 pounds in 10 years or 20 pounds in 20 years, which can add up over time. So ditch the diet and really focus on maintaining your weight during the holiday season. Around the holidays, I always recommend prioritizing your favorite foods at that meal. Don't waste your calories on everyday, non-exciting foods, but rather save those calories for your favorite foods that you only get to enjoy a few times per year. For example, when thinking about the starch component of your meal, you might have several choices. They might have bread and rolls, and they also might have stuffing, and they might have a special sweet potato dish. I would rather have the stuffing and the special sweet potatoes that are only made once a year versus a roll, which I typically have easy access to throughout the year. So prioritizing your favorites allows you to enjoy those family recipes and those traditional foods that we look forward to every year. Pace yourself, don't race. Pay attention to how quickly you're eating and what you are eating. Savor that flavor by eating slowly and choosing your foods carefully. If your grandmother only makes this dish once a year, don't gobble it down so quickly that you barely taste it. Really savor those flavors and enjoy that food and have a mindful eating experience. Remember that liquids count too. People tend to overdo it on liquid calories during the holidays, and this is a risk for weight gain purposes, for blood sugar purposes, for breathing issues, and also if it's alcoholic drinks, then it's affecting our overall health. So we want to remember that things like alcohol, apple cider, punches, soda, eggnog, hot chocolate, those seasonal lattes, they can provide a lot of calories, a lot of sugar, and possibly alcohol. Definitely a lot of saturated fat in some of those drinks as well. So if you want to indulge in a special holiday drink, grab a small cup. Don't grab a pint glass for your eggnog, right? Grab a very, very small, either juice glass or even a smaller, children's cup if they have it. And alternate those caloric drinks with water. So instead of having apple cider, 5 cups worth throughout the course of the party, alternate so you're staying hydrated and also just cutting back on caloric and sugar sweetened beverages. These sugary drinks that arise around the holidays can increase your work of breathing because of the high carbohydrate amounts, and also these sugary drinks can increase your blood sugar. So for those with diabetes, this can be a really big health concern. I wanted to show you some of the different options that are out there now. Typical eggnog has 340 calories in 1 cup and 10 grams of saturated fat. So that's about half a day's worth of saturated fat for somebody in the general population, and even over half a day's worth of saturated fat for somebody with a cardiac condition. But there are other products that you might want to try. There's a traditional eggnog that's used with low-fat milk. This is about 280 calories and 3 grams of fat. But now there's plant-based eggnogs, and these products have way less calories and way less saturated fat. So there's a coconut milk nog, which has 180 calories and only 4 grams of saturated fat. There's an almond milk eggnog, which only has 100 calories and no saturated fat. And these are just some of the options. Check your local store, read the nutrition facts, and make the choice that makes the most sense for you and your family. So how about the beloved peppermint mocha latte? Well, a grande, which is 16 ounces, comes with 2% milk, whipped cream, and 8 pumps of the syrup/sauce. 4 pumps of the peppermint syrup and 4 pumps of the mocha sauce. This packs 440 calories, 10 grams of saturated fat, and 54 grams of sugar. That's the same amount of sugar that's in 13 sugar packets. So, how can we make this treat a little bit healthier? Well, instead of getting the standard 2% or even asking for whole milk, we want to ask for either skim milk or almond milk. We want to ask for no whip, and we can also ask for less pumps. So 1 pump of mocha and 1 pump of peppermint will still give us that great flavor. We could also order a smaller size, and if you're supposed to be having decaf only or low levels of caffeine, then ask for decaf espresso or half calf. Don't forget alcohol. Alcohol can add up in calories very quickly. So on the screen here, you see the different calorie amounts of various drinks, ranging from 100 or so calories in a light beer to almost 500 calories in something like a pina colada. So, keep in mind the calories, but also keep in mind the sugar in some of the more festive holiday drinks like mudslides. Also consider that we really want to avoid binge drinking. So binge drinking is defined as a pattern of drinking that brings a person's blood alcohol concentration to at or above the 0.08. And this typically happens when men consume 5 or more drinks or women consume 4 or more drinks in a 2-hour period. This is very dangerous, and we absolutely want to be avoiding binge drinking. And actually, the 2020 scientific report of the dietary guidelines is recommending only 1 drink per day for both men and women. So if you're going to drink alcohol, you need to do it safely and hopefully stay within the guidelines of just 1 drink. Or if your doctor or medical professional has asked that you completely abstain from alcohol, hopefully you're able to do that during this holiday season. Another tip that can be helpful when trying to cut back on how much we're eating during the holidays is to gather away from the buffet table. If all the food is on one table, go in another room. If all the food is on the island in the kitchen, don't linger in the kitchen. When you're chatting and socializing and there's food right in front of you, it's so easy to just reach down and grab another piece of cheese or reach down and grab another bacon wrapped scallop. And because we're socializing, we're not really mindful of what we're grabbing and what we're taking in. And another good idea is to bring your own dish to holiday parties. If you know you're going to someone's house that's really heavy on the gravies and the starches and the fats and the creams, bring some green beans with olive oil and almonds. Bring a healthy festive dish for everyone to share, so you'll know there'll be at least one nutritious option. Try to stay active during the holiday season if you can. And for you, that might mean just continuing to come to your rehab twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever it is. Perhaps you can go for a walk after dinner with your family. Bundle up, go around the neighborhood, help that digestion get going. Even 10 minutes of walking can still be beneficial, so don't have that all or nothing mentality. Any type of movement, any time of year is beneficial, and physical activity can actually help to reduce holiday stress. Another tip is to avoid going to a holiday party on an empty stomach. When we are hungry, we are more susceptible to eating cues. So if you're starving and you walk into a party and the food smells delicious and it looks delicious, it's different options that you haven't had since last holiday season and you're super excited about it, you're going to eat a lot more if you're ravenous. So that day leading up to the party, stay in a regular routine. Don't skip meals, and if you're hungry before you leave, have a small snack. We're not talking about a big meal, but have, a Greek yogurt, have an apple with some nuts, just something to take the edge off, so that way when you get to the party, your hunger is at a normal level and you're able to make conscious decisions about what you want to eat. Keep your eye on portion sizes. In the heat of celebration and socializing, portion sizes can get out of hand. We're just not paying attention to what we're scooping on our plate or how many servings we're actually taking because we're in the moment. So instead of taking large amounts of food, try to go for a large variety of food. Often there are so many dishes you can't even fit everything on one plate if you take a normal portion. So if you just take a little spoonful of each option, you get to try everything without overdoing it. And try taking a smaller plate. If they're serving on big, 13-inch plates, try looking for a salad or a dessert plate. We automatically serve ourselves less on a smaller plate. When you're at a party, always keep the plate method in mind. It's a great way to control portions and get a balanced meal. And this can be done even with our typical holiday foods. So the plate method calls for half a plate of non-starchy vegetables. So maybe that's green beans, maybe that's carrots, maybe that's a salad. The plate method calls for a quarter of a plate of a lean protein. So on Thanksgiving, that's typically going to be turkey, right? For the other holidays, it could be various amounts of meat. If the person's house you're at is not serving a lean meat and you see a lot of that marble in the meat or visible fat, cut that off and trim that and keep your portion to only a quarter of the plate, which is about the size of a deck of cards or the size of the palm of your hand. Finally, the last quarter of the plate is the starch. So this might be stuffing, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, mashed potatoes, but keep that to about a quarter of the plate. And now you've gotten to try a variety of foods that were served and still have a balanced meal. And then of course, if you want to add gravy, we want to keep the portion of that down as it can be high in fat and sodium. So aim for just 1 to 2 tablespoons for your entire plate. The holiday season can be hectic, and for this reason, sometimes families rely more on fast food and convenience foods because they're just having a hectic schedule. So we want to plan ahead to avoid this because we're already going to be having more indulgent foods when we go to these holiday parties. So when we're not at a holiday party, we really don't want to be having fast food because then we're going to have a whole 6-week period of maybe, less nutritious choices. So we want to stay on track as much as possible in our daily routine throughout the holiday season. So if you know it's going to be particularly busy, then prepare for the holidays by making meals and freezing them and putting them in the freezer in individual sizes so that when you need them, you can take them out, defrost them on the stove or in the microwave and have a healthy meal. Using the Instant Pot or the Crock Pot is a quick and easy way to build batches of meals that you can freeze. Try to take the focus off of food. Of course, we always think about food when we think about holidays, right? That's the point of this presentation. But there are other things to focus on, and we just want to remind ourselves and our friends and family, why are we here? What is the reason for the season? Maybe for you, it's for religion. Maybe for other people, it's for family gatherings. It's giving, it's volunteering, it's holiday cheer. But whatever it is, try to embrace the aspects of holidays that have nothing to do with food. Making gifts for other people, making handmade, scarves and donating them to a warm shelter, anything that you like to do around the holidays that maybe doesn't involve food, just really try to focus on that. Sodium intake is a concern for most people as 90% of Americans take in too much sodium. And unfortunately, a lot of holiday foods are through the roof on sodium. Just 3 ounces of ham can have half of your daily allotment of sodium. Sauces and gravies pack a very high salt content. Stuffing, casseroles, something that starts out as a veggie casserole like green beans or broccoli, but then is covered in a cheese sauce and breadcrumbs and crackers, ends up being a high sodium food. So just keep this in mind. If something appears to be very high in sodium, take a much smaller portion of that and really try to balance it out with lower sodium items. And if you truly get physically ill from sodium, meaning you retain fluid and you can't breathe or your blood pressure goes through the roof, then really try to avoid the high sodium foods or bring your own lower sodium alternatives to the foods that are being served. The average Thanksgiving dinner provides over 3,000 calories, as you can see on the image here, starting with different types of appetizers like a cheese ball and crackers, chips, onion dip, then turkey, cornbread, stuffing, gravy, sweet potato casserole, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, a carrot raisin salad, followed by some sweet tea, some pecan pie, some butter. This packs a high calorie amount, and this is not even including any alcohol or other, really caloric beverage calories. So it's a lot in one day. We want to make sure that we're just staying staying safe. So for some people, they can eat 3,000 calories at Thanksgiving dinner and be completely fine the next day and go about their life. But for people with cardiac conditions, pulmonary conditions, having 3,000 calories in a short amount of time can really increase your work of breathing, which can be dangerous. And the amount of sodium in those 3,000 calories can really affect your blood pressure and your heart. So I'm just saying to be mindful. You don't have to keep up with everyone else in your family and have as much food on your plate. Like I mentioned, instead of large portions, go for large variety, a small amount of all the different foods so you get to enjoy them and try them, but not having large portions. And try to enjoy the family aspect of the season. Now, a food safety reminder. You don't want to ruin the holiday by giving yourself or some of your guests food poisoning. So make sure all of your dishes are cooked to the proper temperatures. Beef and pork, red meat needs to be cooked to 145 degrees. Fish is also 145. Ground beef is 160. Egg dishes are 160. And poultry, chicken, duck, 165. And use a thermometer, a digital thermometer that will tell you the temperature, and always make sure to check it in the thickest part of the meat. Then make sure you're being safe with leftovers. Follow the 2-hour, 2-inch, 4-day rule. So what does that mean? Food should not be left out for more than 2 hours. So you need to refrigerate or freeze the leftovers within 2 hours of cooking them. Otherwise, they need to be thrown away. So if you forget to pack them up and you've been socializing and going for a walk and all of a sudden 3 hours has gone by and the food is still on the counter, it does need to be thrown away. 2 inches thick to cool it quick. So if you have a lot of leftovers, don't put them in like a small, tight, round container that's 6 inches thick. It could only be 2 inches thick. That's to allow it to get down to the chilled temperature in the right time period. So you cannot refrigerate it in a very, very thick container. And 4 days in the refrigerator, otherwise freeze it. Use your leftovers within 4 days of the holiday. Otherwise, put it in the freezer. That's perfectly fine. You can take it out later. And make sure when you're reheating leftovers, you reheat them to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. Your guests will be very happy to get leftovers sent with them. And that's another way to kind of cut back on what we're eating, is to give leftovers to your guests. Because if there's a lot left over and you're home the next day, there's another Thanksgiving dinner waiting for you, right? So get that stuff out of the house, out of sight, out of mind, and move on to your regular eating pattern. So I wish you all a very happy holiday season. I hope you stay healthy and have a great time with family and friends and lots of holiday cheer.